recorded, yes. Jake, Dennis, right. And I know who caller number one is. Caller number one is Dennis. I don't even have to ask anymore. Okay.
Hey, Rick.
Mr. Hannum.
How you doing?
We were speculating that you were eating dinner.
No, not yet. Just to let you know, GoToMeeting decided to screw with me again, and then it's not letting me log on. So I'm not an organizer, so I can't do any changing of names or anything for you.
I didn't think you had to be do you have to be an organizer to do that?
Yeah.
Well, you better have a chat with the guy that you're speaking to and tell him it's not. Oh, well, Jake Hannum is now an organizer.
Yeah.
It's amazing what happens when you push the right button.
There you go. There you
Thank
go,
you, Rich.
Jackson.
Oh, that's all right. I didn't want to be an organizer.
Well, you're too bad you are. Sorry about that. All right, so let's see. Who else do we have here? And Les, welcome, Les. Dennis. And somebody else just arrived on the telephone. Who is that?
That might be me. This is Roy Savrick.
Ah, hello, Roy.
Hi.
I don't know if Peter's going to join us or not. He didn't. Yes, he is. He just came in.
He just joined. Yeah.
There you go.
Hi, Peter. It's Roy.
Hi, Roy.
How
you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay.
Oh, okay. And someone else just arrived on the telephone. Who is that?
Yeah, John Appler. Rick, how you doing?
Hi, John Appler. That's number 3.
Got it.
And
Thank you, Rich, by the way, for hooking me up. I don't know what's going on with my computer again.
I think we're gonna have to give Rich Jackson an honorary title. I don't know quite what it is, but we're gonna have to give him an honorary title.
Super IT guy.
IT, yes, and can IT. Right. Ooh. Interesting. And Larry Fish.
Oh, we have Tebow.
Yes, we do.
All right.
Yes, I know. We just had a little chat before everybody started coming in.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm thrilled that we have Tebow, and he'll give us a quick update.
Hello.
Couple new callers on the telephone.
Hi. Checking in.
Yeah.
Hi. Who are we talking to?
Sounds like
Dan.
Dan.
San Francisco.
Hi, Dan.
Hello.
Dan Louie.
And Louie. And someone else on the telephone.
This is Sylvester. I'm on the phone. I'm always on the phone.
Welcome, Sylvester.
Hey, Sylvester. I also see you on a video tonight.
Yeah, Sylvester, we gave you a lesson how to come in on the computer, man.
You certainly did, but I haven't gotten I wrote it down, the webcam and the USB.
Oh. Okay.
I haven't gotten them yet.
Okay.
Oh, man. We're all disappointed.
Well, you could, Sylvester, you could still connect on the computer and watch.
That's
Well,
true.
let me see. I'm trying to come up to that. I have to go to Jake. I guess I'm not sure how you do that.
Okay.
Take your time.
All right. So we'll get started. Good afternoon or good evening, everybody. I'll say who I see on the call. So there's Rich Jackson, Jay Krupman, Eva Lincecum, Jake Hannum, Dennis Correa, Les Shelderup, Roy Savrick, Peter Kafka, John Appler, Larry Fish, Len Sierra, and Dan Louie. Is there anybody that I have missed? Hey. Oh, and Joel Blanchette just came in. Okay. Joel Blanchette. So I think everybody has been on the call before. Has Roy, have you been on this call or was it on Peter's call? I can't remember.
It was this one. Was this one?
Yeah. Okay, fine. So we'll let me go down the list. I just wanted to make sure we didn't have anybody new. And I want to congratulate Sylvester on joining on his computer. That's great,
Hi,
Sylvester.
Sylvester.
Thanks
Well
to
done,
your
man. Well done. Good job. And so let me go down and see who has something to say. So, Thibaut, you're going to give us an update, I hope. Is that a yes? Oh, Thibaut's joining on.
Hi,
There he is.
Hi, with
Hey,
hair.
Thibaut.
there. Right. Taking a long time to unmute.
All right.
Hi.
Looking good.
Looking great. Looking great, man. Okay, so we'll put you up first. You can give us an update. Some people, you'll have to just tell them what you've been through because they don't have the background. And for those of you who don't know Thibaut, this is a stunning story. So hang in. This is going to be very worthwhile. And Roy, Peter's been mentioning that you're going to come on and talk to us a little bit on here, so we'll put you up. We'll put you up next, and then let me go down the list. Rich, did you have anything you wanted to talk about tonight?
Still in a holding pattern. I'll just be listening. Thank you.
Okay. And Jay Krugman, anything? We haven't heard from you for a few weeks. Anything for you?
I can give an update on my current treatments.
Great. Jake, anything for you?
Not tonight, Rick. I'm going to my oncologist tomorrow, so I'll have something next time.
Okay. Dennis, anything for you?
No, Rick, not tonight.
Thanks. Les, anything for you?
No, I don't think so. I'm going to the doctor tomorrow too, so maybe I'll learn something then.
Okay, if there's is there anything that you want to run past us, or is this your old or your new doctor, your existing doctor?
Well, it's an additional one. I have seen him before, but it's not one of the main doctors that I'm seeing.
So we'll stop by you and go over so that we can help you prep for the appointment, huh?
Okay.
Peter, anything for you?
Yeah, I have a 1 minute experience lesson to disseminate.
Okay. You can have 2 minutes if you like. John Appler, anything for you?
No, not really, Rick. If anybody's had the experience of selecting healthcare insurance recently, I'd love to hear about it. Humana apparently has a new drug plan that's really good for people like us, but other than that, I'm okay. I'll just listen.
Well, you do. Let's talk about healthcare insurance. It's a good topic, and we haven't talked about it for a while. Hopefully, we'll have time. Larry Fish, anything for you?
I'm okay tonight. Thank you, Rick.
Okay. Len, for you?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Dan Louie, anything for you?
Yes, please.
Okay. Joel Blanchette, how about yourself? Anything we can talk to you about tonight?
Yeah, I took a germline test that you recommended, and I got some results.
Okay, we'll definitely stop by you. And Sylvester, anything for you?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. So let's start with Thibaut. And Thibaut, give us Thibaut, you look fantastic. You look fantastic. So for those of you who
a little better.
well, for those of you who wonder how we can say that, if you're on the computer, you can see Thibaut, and he looks marvelous. It's a thrill. Give everybody a quick update on your treatment and where you were, and what you did, and tell us about how you're doing right now.
So in December, I had a bone marrow transplant as part of a clinical trial for people with prostate cancer. I was the second of 2 people who have done it. And the first guy, he had PSA go down for a while and then come back up. And he's had problems with GVHD, graft versus host disease, sores in his mouth. I did a little better in that I didn't have serious GVHD. I had like a couple of weeks where I had a rash all over my body early on after the transplant, but we got that away and I'm fine now, other than fatigue. Part of the clinical trial, it also includes bipolar androgen therapy. So I got, I think it was 2 injections of testosterone 30 days apart. And that succeeded in lowering my PSA by 67%. It went from like 450 to 130 over 2 months. And then I stopped getting the testosterone and the trial officially ended just a few days ago when I got my final scans on June 20th. We found that my PSA went up again without the bipolar androgen therapy. So apparently the new immune system is not enough. It's most of the trial, I would say it's a failure. It didn't work because, everybody gets a benefit from bipolar androgen therapy. It doesn't seem like the new immune system made a difference. So at this point, I'm going to go back on the bipolar androgen therapy as long as it keeps working. Dr. Denby says it usually works 6 to 9 months. And every now, a few people have had it work like 2 or 3 years. And when that fails, he thinks it might be a good time to retry some treatments that I failed before. He has one guy that had an unusual response that he can't explain, where he went back on enzalutamide after bipolar androgen therapy, and where it failed before in a few months, this time it took its PSA to 0 and has been there ever since. he doesn't, I figured it's worth a shot. And I'm also going to see a doctor at University of Pennsylvania on Thursday. They're doing, that's Naomi Haas, and she's doing clinical trials with CAR T cells. I don't know that they can, I would be a candidate for anything they're doing, but I'll meet her and find out what's going on.
Wow. So just to summarize, where you are today is that you're through, completely through, and supposedly recovered from the bone marrow transplant. You've been doing BAT, it's lowered your PSA from 450 to 130. And Sam Denmead seems to think that the BAT might have some more legs for you for a few more months, and then once that wears out, you'll decide what you're going to do next. Is that pretty much correct?
Right.
And how are you feeling in yourself?
Well, ever since the transplant, I've been tired, so I take a couple of naps every day. It's been worse for the last 5 days because I just had my 6-month baby vaccination, and that's made me more tired than usual. So I'm sleeping like 15 hours a day. Usually it's less than that.
Okay. And have they
your
done
daily vaccination, did you say?
baby vaccination?
Because I have a new immune system now.
Oh.
You go ahead. You
So
explain.
all my old vaccinations are gone. I have to get them again.
Oh, okay.
So what about scans? Have they done any scans? Have they seen if there's a reduction in the extent of your metastases?
My bone scan is unchanged. My CT scan shows minor growth.
Okay.
My PSA is currently 60. It doubled over 2 months.
I'm sorry, what doubled over 2 months?
Recently, my PSA doubled over 2 months when I was not getting the testosterone shot.
Okay, so what is your current testosterone?
It's like 250 or something like that.
Okay. But no pain, or are you still having pain, or where?
I have metastases all through my spine, and I have pain there. I take my tramadol every day, 300 milligrams extended release, and I have oxycodone if that's not enough. And the last few days, it's been worse than normal after the vaccinations. I guess one of them is known to cause joint pain, and so it's just aggravating the pain I already have.
So let me throw it out for people that might have questions for you. I'm sure Len's got something on his mind.
Yes, sure. I'd like to know, Thibault, what was the hypothesis or the hope of the bone marrow transplant? Was it that you would have a brand spanking new immune system that would now be able to destroy the cancer cells in your body, or was there something else?
Yes, and also the new immune system came from a female. That was a requirement of the clinical trial. So the theory was that prostate material would be more foreign to a female immune system and it would be more aggressive.
Right. How many others received the BMT?
One.
Oh, just you and one other, that's it?
Yeah, so far, as far as I know.
Okay.
And just recap again the results of the other guy, because I sort of lost you halfway through. I think you said he took something that kept his PSA low, did you not?
His PSA went down for a little while, well, just like mine did during the bat, and then it went back up. So it's pretty much the same. No
Right.
long-term effect.
Okay.
So it almost seems paradoxical that with the bone marrow transplant, they then follow that up with medication to suppress the immune system so you don't develop graft versus host disease. Almost like working.
Well, that's normal. For any bone marrow transplant, they have to carefully control the strength of the immune system so that it does fight whatever you've got it to fight, and it also doesn't fight too hard. But I only had to use a tiny amount of steroids to tamp it down. I mean, you want to get some graft versus host, and that's an indication that it's being aggressive and it's going to maybe kill your cancer. And I did have some, so that was good. But it went on a little long and was unpleasant. So they gave me a little bit of testosterone to stop that. I mean, a little bit of steroids to stop that.
Mm-hmm.
The testosterone doesn't have a direct effect on your immune system. But they were hoping that there would be some kind of synergistic effect between the testosterone and the new immune system, but that has not been demonstrated.
And so are you going to be a pioneer also for prostate cancer for the CAR T-cell therapy? Or are there others who are doing that for prostate?
I will try, but I haven't talked to Dr. House yet. I'm meeting her on Thursday. And Dr. Denmead suspects that I would not be a good candidate for new technologies in the future because I'm already so weird. I've got so many things that I've done that other people haven't done that they might not want me.
Excuse me, does Denmead have guys who have really had great success with BAT? Do we know anybody that's gone through it and really transformed with it?
Yeah, some of them.
It's long term, yeah?
Yeah, they've had a couple of long term. There have been a few guys that it worked for like 3 years, and they've got a couple guys that have had a durable remission. But usually it's just 6 to 9 months.
For those of you who are not familiar with bipolar androgen therapy, I recommend that you listen to Dr. Denmead's presentation that he made for us, and it is on our website. It's under bipolar androgen therapy. Maybe Jake can put the link in the window as well. But it's an excellent presentation, and it explains bipolar androgen therapy and the principle of it. This was given before actually Thibault started his trial, but it'll, rather than sort of spending the time right now.
That's actually how I found out.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. It was through Dr. Denmead's presentation that kind of he mentioned something about this, and then Thibault followed up. Who else would like the opportunity to speak to Thibault about this therapy? Guys, don't be shy.
I have a question.
Yes.
Did Denmead talk to you about trying enzalutamide or abiraterone again? Because when he talked to us originally, he said that the theory was that the BAT would then resensitize the prostate cancer cells to, the treatments that had failed once before. Has he talked to you about re-implementing that or retrying that? Either one of those or both?
Yes, he did. And but we're going to do that by itself first.
Okay.
Since it's still working. And maybe when it stops working, then I'll retry the enzalutamide.
Okay.
Right. So actually, thank you, Rich. Rich has posted the BAT presentation in the chat window, so you can click on that and it'll bring it up. You can listen to it later. Anyone else like to talk to Thibaut before we move on? Thibaut, do you have anything you want to ask us or talk to us about? We're busy grabbing all the information from you, but maybe you want to ask us something.
Oh, it's been a while since I've been hearing about new stuff, so I'll just listen.
Okay, well, one of the new things that we have been talking about quite often, and I don't know if it'll come up tonight or not, but is the PSMA sensitized lutetium treatment, which is a radionuclide that is attracted to prostate cancer cells, prostate cells specifically, or cells that express a certain prostate-related antigen. Some of those cells are not only in the area of the prostate or wherever there's prostate cancer, but there are other places where you find those cells. And the results.
I would sooner do that than chemo, I think.
Yeah. Well, there is. Complication with that right now is that it's in trial and it's expensive. It's $7,000 to $10,000 per, even in trial, per treatment. And if you get through all of the treatments, I think there are 4 treatments, 6 weeks apart, either 3 or 4 treatments. However, Fabio Almeida in Phoenix has a trial with the lutetium 177 where he is using a different agent to the one that most everybody else is using. That is the agent that sensitizes the PSMA. And his trial doesn't cost anything, or it's just got incidental costs. So that trial is taking place in Phoenix, and it's open. He's already filled 1 cohort. He's looking to fill a 2nd cohort. So that's definitely, and if you're interested or anyone else is interested, if you write me, I can send you the details, or when I get a second, if I get a second on the call, I'll put it in the chat window.
Yeah, I'm interested. I've got family in Arizona.
Okay, well, I'll do it. I'll look for it in a second. I think that's probably the major thing. And the other thing with the lutetium 177 is that just this week they published results from the trial in Australia. And it was a small trial. I think there were only 40-odd men that were in the trial, but they did publish the results. The results were good. The only thing I don't understand about the results that were published is that we knew at least one of the guys that was in that trial, Paul Hobson, who subsequently we lost. And yet they don't report that in those results. And I checked with Jim Marshall to see if that was. I don't really you know what's going on. Anyway, let's, unless anybody else wants to talk to Thibaut, we'll move on. But Thibaut, look, you know, we're all rooting for you, and we're all thrilled to see you. And you know, you look so much better than the last time we saw you, so that is good. Sorry that we're not getting as good a result as you wanted, but you know.
Yeah, during the immediately after the transplant, I felt pretty bad. I felt like I was dying, and people tell me I look like I was dying too. So I'm doing better now.
You didn't look great. Let me say that. But you look much better now, and we're really happy.
Well, by the time I got on an call, I was better. You know, it was before that I was really bad.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you didn't look great on the ANCAN call. All right. And I'll have a piece of that watermelon when you're done, okay? All right. Let's move along. Roy Saverick, why don't you recap a little bit about your situation, and then tell us what we can answer for you.
Okay. The situation is that I have a very high Gleason score of either 4+5 or 5+4, depending which lab looks at it, and a very low PSA. And I've never done a biopsy because I'm also on blood thinners and they're afraid to create internal bleeding. So they found this as a result of a TERP, and they pulled out one little specimen and they said, "Here's this Gleason score," and everyone became very concerned about that. So I took a Recurrent shot back on April 12th, and I have the second 3-month one is coming up on July 12th that I have scheduled. So I've been trying to find out exactly what's happening inside, I guess. And so I've been running around a bit. So I went down to University of Miami, and I thought I met the chairman of the urology department, but that turned out to be a waste of time. So I figured with all this running around, so I've scheduled, and let me do this chronologically. I'm going to the Proton Center in San Diego on July 5th next week, and where they'll measure and do some scans and so on, and set me up for 2 or 3 weeks after that to do 28 proton pencil beam radiation, where they will have a higher concentration on the prostate itself and a lower concentration on the rest of the pelvis around, including the lymph nodes. In between those two, I'm going to LA and seeing Dr. Turner, a name we might know, or Mark Schultz, and Peter, thank you for loaning me that book, which I'm using sort of as a Bible. And I have a whole bunch of questions for them in between my 2 visits down to San Diego. So I'm sort of looking for answers, and I have a whole bunch of more questions than anything else that I won't throw out and use everyone's time here, but I'll definitely be in, and I'll see Dr. Turner on the 19th of July in Los Angeles, in Marina Del Rey, and hopefully get some more answers. Probably fresh on my mind is, how do I monitor this going forward after the radiation is done, and what does it mean that I have such a low PSA and such a high Gleason, and lots of other questions that I expect to get answered over the next month or so. So that's my quick and dirty story, I guess. And I'm open to any thoughts that anyone has, but I'm more in this discovery mode. The only negatives that I have with the Lupron shot is these heat flashes are just driving me crazy. I mean, but everything else is not as bad as I had expected. That I can get like ice cold, and I can be like burning hot, and like get cold sweats, and it goes away in 5 minutes, and it comes back, and so the Lupron shots and the hormone are playing havoc with my body a little bit as the testosterone levels are dropping from the Lupron. So I was expecting actually worse reactions to it than I'm getting. So this is livable so far, and I just hope I get some answers out in LA, and I hope the radiation with the folks in San Diego for the 28 proton treatments is somewhat effective. So that's where I'm at.
So I'm going to I'm going to make a couple of comments, and then I'm sort of going to go to Peter, because I know you and Peter have talked, and I would encourage you to use the wisdom of the people that are on this call. The first thing I want to mention is that last week we had a guy on the call called Jeff Marchi, who has been plagued by hot flashes. I mean, a lot of us have been plagued by hot flashes at the same time. We sort of found a way to live with them, but they were really disturbing him. And he had done some research, and he came up with a solution, which was drinking ice water. Now, he says it really works. So I'm not exactly sure when you drink the ice water, or whether you drink it and you pour some of it over you, or what exactly you do. Some other people who were listening may have taken better notes than I did, but he swears by this ice water solution. One of the things that I've suggested many times is that there are known acupuncture points, Roy. And if you have an acupuncturist, or if you know a good acupuncturist, they may be able to help you with the acupuncture points, but that treatment only lasts a few weeks, and then you have to go back and you have to top it up. It is a way to go. And then there are drugs that are out there, but maybe the easiest thing is to start with drinking ice water and seeing how it helps, or if it helps. You're in Miami, man. There's ice water everywhere. So I just
if I had a guess, as soon as I get into a room that's a little bit hotter, or I go outside and get out of my car away from the air conditioning, that's when it really pumps up. So if I had a guess, it would be carrying the jug of ice water with you, a little water bottle, and as soon as the temperature changes in the room, to take a shot of it and slow your body down. That would be my educated guess.
Now, listen, one of the things you can do is you can go back and listen to the recording of the meeting. It's posted. You can even search now for ice water, and it'll bring up when he starts talking about it, and you can listen to what his experience was, get it from the horse's mouth. So, because we now have this.
That'd be great. That'd be a good suggestion.
The second thing I wanted to say to you is the little bit that I do know about low PSA and high glycemic. And usually makes for very difficult disease to manage. And I think Dr. Turner would talk to you about that. I had suggested that you go to a center of excellence like MDA or UCSF or Dana-Farber, only because they have access to databases, large databases, where they may have seen this type of treatment more frequently, and they may be researching that. Not that Dr. Turner hasn't seen it, but probably not in the volume that they would have seen it at somewhere like Anderson or or UCSF, where they're actually doing research. And they're trying to associate these diseases with mutations. So notwithstanding the issues around your biopsy and procedures that to extract samples, there is good knowledge, and you know I keep encouraging you. See Dr. Turner. I'd encourage you to go to a center of excellence as well. And you know, as I said, as I suggested before, I can only tell you if it were me, but I would probably want to get all of the opinions from the oncologists like Dr. Turner or Paul Korn or whoever else you see under my belt before I started any initial treatment, for a number of reasons. The biggest of which is probably that with low PSA and high Gleason, there may be some interesting clinical trials out there that you may exclude yourself from if you start radiation. And since you've had the Lupron shot, you hopefully, if it's working, then you are in a hold situation. What's your PSA? What's your PSA done since you had the Lupron shot?
Yeah, right after I did the TERP, it was 3.6, and it went down in a month to 1.5.
And when did you get the Lupron shot?
April 12th.
Okay.
It's 2.5 months ago.
Okay. And what was your PSA? Because I don't have it on here. What was your PSA before you started the Lupron?
In the high twos. It was somewhere between 2 and 3, 2.8, 3.1. It was
okay.
It was down there.
Okay. Okay. So the concern I think that I might have also over 2 to 3 months is that your PSA has not dropped below 1.5. And again, I'd want to be reviewing all of that with Turner and with somebody like Korn before I committed to do the PBRT. But that, you know, that would be me. I'd be wanting to gather that information to see what the best is. I'd be asking these guys, should I do the radiation now? I mean, most of them are probably going to be in favor, largely because, you know, there has been a movement to debulking the primary tumor anyway. So we've known guys that have been diagnosed with metastasized disease, and they've done chemo, and then they've done radiation to debulk the tumor afterwards. I can think of 2 guys off the top of my head. So it's not that you wouldn't do it, but I would be, you know, I just don't know about the order, and I don't know about, I'm just not, I don't know if this is the best way to start, and I would want to be talking to some real experts about it, and I wouldn't trust a radiation oncologist to make that decision, especially where there is a vested interest, as I know you and Peter have talked about. So
Yeah,
that's my 2 cents. Peter, what do you say?
Yes, I back up Rick's concern. I'm very about you, Roy, because essentially you're managing your disease right now on your own, and you need help on this one. I know you tried getting some traction with MD Anderson, but I think you ran into some roadblocks there or something with the bureaucracy. I'm not sure, but whatever you need to see an oncologist, I think. And I back off from committing to any kind of radiation. I agree with Rick, with Dr. Rossi. He can be a little pushy, and I, for one thing, I think you need to get an MRI. If you can't do a biopsy, you at least need to get a multi-parametric MRI under your belt, so we have some better picture of what's going on. Another thing that might be useful that I'm thinking, I don't know if this is possible or not, is contacting your urologist in Colorado who did the TURP and see if he can send a tissue sample. I don't know if they can do, like if you send it to Hopkins, whether they can test it for small cell or test it for anything other than the Gleason score. I don't know, but if there is tissue that they can test, I would look into that too, and talk to Turner or whoever you see as an oncologist about that. I'm sure they will suggest those kind of things, but I'd be concerned. So I'm a little nervous, Roy. I'm a little nervous that you're kind of managing this on your own, and you really need some strong professional support. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, do you think Dr. Turner, who I am seeing in the middle of these two, you know, I'm seeing doing the MRI down in San Diego next week, and I probably won't have a scheduled appointment for 3 weeks after that, and I'm seeing Turner in the middle of those two. Do you think that's sufficient to get some feedback, or do you think I should also deal with the folks over in Houston and so on, or do you think you have enough faith in Turner that he will kind of point me in the right direction?
I think Rick's right. I think MD Anderson is a really good bet. I mean, they're real experts in this. If you're going to get the MRI next week in San Diego, I'd make sure that you send any oncologist a copy of that MRI. Send it up to Marina Del Rey. If you can get into MD Anderson, send them a copy of it too. Don't make people scramble for it. And you get a copy so that you can carry around the results yourself. So, you know, don't just leave it in a doctor's office.
Okay.
What was the problem at MD Anderson when you asked for an appointment with Dr. Corn, Roy?
It wasn't a major problem. I called Dr. Corn's office, and they said 1 second. They put me on hold, and they piped it through to someone else, and they said, "Oh yeah, let me here's his line," and they put it through. And then the phone just rang and rang and rang 40 times, and I just got frustrated and I gave up. So it was more of a logistics sort of thing than anything else.
Okay, look, keep pushing it through. When you make the appointment and you get through to somebody, just tell them that you're referred by us, by Answer Cancer, by Rick Davis. He knows us well enough. If you run into a problem, I'm happy to drop him a personal email, but I don't want to do that if you can get through to him. My strong suggestion, you know, Turner is excellent. You know, he's done great by Peter. He's a very good doctor. Prostate specialists are very, very good, but they don't have the resources behind them and the database behind them that some other docs have. And so, you know, I would like to see you talking to doctors that are gathering these large databases. So Paul Korn is an option. I could refer you to somebody at UCSF. I could refer you to somebody at Dana-Farber. These are all people that are specifically trying to gather information on strange disease. And what you may have is an unusual form of this disease that, you know, may require different treatment in the outset. It may not as well. But I would want to be 100% sure about that before I launch myself into PBRT or any type of radiation for that.
Yeah. Who would you recommend at USCF?
At UCSF?
Yeah.
Probably Terry Friedlander. You know, my go-to man is actually leaving. I just found out, which is really bad news. So I would probably, he's been my go-to man for a while now, and he's great, but he's moving on to Kaiser. So I would probably say Terry Friedlander, or Rahul Agarwal, Rahul Agarwal, Aggarwal, Dan Lewis. That's Dan Lewis, Dr. Dan Lewis on the call tonight. But you know, I mean, if you're out there, you might be able to get. But there are some really good people. You know, Dana Farber too, and that I would suggest to you in Boston. Chris Sweeney is one. Another, if you can get an appointment with him, I can probably arrange it. If you cannot, is Ellie Van Allen, who is running this metastatic prostate cancer project, where they're gathering samples from lots and lots of people. But Ellie has a small clinical practice. He's mostly research, but I could certainly arrange that for you. And then Professor Bill, who's not on the call tonight, Phil Burhans, is seeing Chowdhury there, who he likes very much. But that's because I think they spend a lot of time talking highly technical issues around genetics. But Bill likes him a lot. So there's 3 names at Farber, Corn, and a couple of names at UCSF.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Let me throw it open to anybody. Peter, is there anything else you wanted to say? And let me throw it open to other people.
No, that's it for me right now.
Okay. Anybody else like to?
Well, yeah, I would like some feedback on that idea. Can a TERP sample be used for more in-depth analysis if we can't do a biopsy right now?
I mean, if the TERP sample has identified prostate cancer, you're saying that it's identified prostate cancer, correct?
Yeah, well, they just did a Gleason test, sort of a visual test, and they said, here it is, Gleason 9, and it's something to deal with. And I said, thanks, guys. So, that's it was at the very end of the TERP. I actually thought it was my last meeting saying, oh, this is our last follow-up. The TERP worked fine, and go on with your life. And then he came in with this long, long face and said, oh, by the way, here's a report for you that if you have any questions, ask me about it. And just kind of out of the blue was all the diagnosis was this one TERP.
So my question is, can that TERP sample be used by a good pathologist to see if there are any other anomalies in it?
Well, they should be able to see if it's small cell disease. I don't know. I'm not sure what testing they do, like the Dream Team East or the Dream Team West does, to identify the morph disease. They may do that on the basis of a genetic analysis, Peter. I think that's what they do. And then where they see a common genetic pattern of a bunch of cells that seem peculiar, that's how they identify this in-between disease that they've now postulated, which is neither small cell nor is it hormone sensitive disease, adenocarcinoma.
So they would do that with a blood test and not a tissue sample?
Genetic. I think what they do, it's not even that. I think they do a genetic analysis of the of the sample. I think that's how to do it, but I'm not sure.
I guess I'm a little bit concerned because he had his turf done at a very small urologist outfit in the mountains in Colorado. And if he can't do a biopsy, I'd be concerned that that sample would get away from him.
Well,
he might someplace where it could be used.
I think there's a couple of issues there. I'm sure that Roy's not the first person that's on blood thinners that's needed a biopsy. So I think there's got to be more issues around how to do a biopsy in a situation like that, number one. Number two, I think that with this sort of disease, I would be more inclined to try and get an Axumin or a PSMA based scan, Roy, because before you do anything, you really want to know the extent of the disease. And this MRI CAT scan, what type of CAT scan are you going to get? Do you know? What's the tracer that you're going to use?
Yeah, I know it's a 3D multi whatever MRI.
Right.
The only thing Rossi told me was they're not diagnostic with the CAT scan at all. They're just looking for the location of where to shoot the radiation.
So you need more than that. I mean, you've got to get, and we said this last time, you've got to get as a minimum an Axumin scan, and hopefully, you know, a 68 PSMA, a gallium 68 PSMA scan, or an 18F scan, 18F PSMA PYL scan, which are much higher specificity scans to find out the extent of the disease. Because you really need to know the extent of your disease before you make your first treatment. And the Axumin scans are pretty available everywhere throughout the country now. And whilst they're not the best that's available, they're very good. And beyond that, the gallium scans are available now in a lot of places. And the PYL, the 18F PYL are available in a few places if you qualify for the trial. But one of those three scans, to me, would be essential for the sort of disease that you have. You know, probably maybe the Axumin is enough. But that's what I would do. If it were me, I'd be going for one of these better scans. You need that a lot more than you need the MRI location and the setup with Rossi. I'd be putting all of that on hold and doing some of these diagnostic MRI tests, talking to docs about how, if, you know, do they need to do a proper biopsy, and if so, how can they do it for you safely? You know, in the absence of a biopsy, you need a really good quality scan. Let me throw it open to anybody else, because I do want to move on, but let me, anyone else like to have any questions for Roy, or suggestions or thoughts?
Well,
Any good oncologist is going to send you up the road to get a scan of some kind. They're not going to just guess. So, you know, Turner's going to send you to UCLA right away and get a scan. Anybody, or if you go to MD Anderson, they're going to scan you before they try to do anything.
Len?
Yeah, I think I agree with what you said, Rick, that Roy's not the first person to be on blood thinners who needed a biopsy. I'm sure that they will do a biopsy. And if they can do a TURP, I don't see why couldn't they do a biopsy? It seems less invasive, particularly after they do an MRI. They can do a targeted biopsy, just go straight for one core if that's all they want to do. But yeah, definitely you need to know what you're dealing with before you proceed with any treatment. If you do the pencil beam radiation, proton beam radiation, what if it's spread beyond the capsule and you've got lymph node involvement? You missed an opportunity there to take care of the lymph node involvement, but you just don't know right now. So you definitely need a biopsy and I think, and a scan before you do anything.
Anyone else?
As far as the blood thinner, I think they do generally recommend you stop the blood thinner because it can cause clotting issues later on. When I had my biopsy several years ago, I did not stop my blood thinner, and it ended up blocking my catheter, or I had to get catheterized because I ended up blocking up. So unless they changed things in the last couple of years, for what it's worth.
Well, Roy, you know, there's a bunch of good suggestions here. You know, I think we probably, the bottom line is the same as it was when we talked to you about 3 weeks ago, which is you've got to get more information before you plunge into primary treatment choice. You just don't have enough information. And there's no point in making an error on the primary treatment choice. So I think that if you follow some of the suggestions, which is to get a good scan, a good diagnostic scan, and as Peter says, whether it's Turner, whether it's Korn, whether it's Dana-Farber, whoever it is, they're all going to say, where's the scan? Where's the information here? What are you making decisions on? And they're going to ask you to do it. So, you know, the best thing, if it were me, the best thing to do would be to phone Rossi and to think about getting the basic information to help you make the right decision. We're here, we'll help you. We'll help you on a personal navigation basis, or we'll help you through the call. But we're available, we've got lots of knowledge, and I would encourage you to take advantage of that. And you know, and take some of the guidance from some of the people that have been through before.
Rick,
Okay, well, thank you for all these thoughts. It's nice knowing that everyone's on my side, and it's helpful, very helpful.
Rich Jackson, did you want to say something?
I read an article 4 to 6 weeks ago. They were discussing a mistake at the lab. They did a biopsy, had a DNA identification of the biopsy that they sent with it. The lab screwed it up. The gentleman in question underwent surgery, and the pathologist got to tell him after the surgery that there was nothing wrong with your prostate. So basically what everybody is telling you is verify that you've got one sample. Verify that it is correct.
Yeah, it definitely goes through my mind that this one little sample that, you know, is in this small little lab, and if the person who did that sample went drinking the night before or mixed my slide up with somebody else, here I am doing, you know, hormone treatment, scheduling radiation, running around doing all this, and maybe it's just a lab error. It definitely goes through my mind quite frequently.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you had low Gleason score, if the Gleason score was wrong and you had low PSA, Rich is absolutely right. Maybe there's nothing wrong with you.
But I hope so.
Okay. All right, but you know, the other thing is you got to get your boys. You got to get your boys to start testing. You know, when they're 35, if in fact you do have PSA, you do have prostate cancer.
Right. Right.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move on. Thibault, I put the two links for you in the chat windows, and I'll try and send them to you. I'll send them to you afterwards just for confirmation, unless you confirm to me that you pulled them both off. But the information on the lutetium trial is there, and the link to the clinical trial in Phoenix. And we have one new person that's joined us. Who is that? On the telephone.
Schreffler here. Hi, Rick.
Hi, Shreff. How are you?
We're good. How are you?
Good. Did you want to say anything tonight?
Nope, just here to listen.
Okay. You're
All
very
righty.
well. Very well.
Thank you.
All right. So let's move along with Jay Krutman. Jay, give us an update on your treatment situation.
Okay. I really don't remember the last time gave an update, but I'll go back a few months here. My PSA, I'm recurrent. My PSA doubling time was about 7 to 8 weeks. We were about, in March we were at 3.7, in April we were at 4.3. Finally, first part of May, we hit 5 or 4.96 and decided it's time to start treatments. We went through Firmagon injection, and we also added Erlita at this time. Got a lot of help from the company there, so it cost me $10 a month on the Erlita, so that's wonderful. The end of May, I had another lab result, which came back at a 0.3. So it went from 5 to 0.3. Good. Had another Firmagon injection. Yesterday, I had lab work done again. Just got the results, and it's at 0.06. So I actually have an appointment tomorrow for another shot of Firmagon and a discussion with the doctor, which should be pretty easy. But between Firmagon and Erlita seems to be knocking it down fairly well.
And how are you tolerating it? I mean, obviously, first of all, the Firmagon, because you had a horrible time with ADT first time round, and secondly, you're the first guy that we've known who is on Erlita. So, is there anything special about that? Or can you tell?
I can't tell at this point in time. Last time I had ADT, I had 4 monthly shots of Firmagon, and then I switched to a 3-month injection of Lupron. And that's when it really seemed to get me. So we don't know if it was an accumulation or if it was the Lupron versus the Firmagon. I don't believe this time I went through the fatigue factor, the drop of energy. But again, I don't think my testosterone was ever back up to my normal levels the first time either. So maybe my fall wasn't this far.
Mm-hmm.
Hot flashes, I have many more hot flashes than I remember the last time. And but that's what they are. So all in all, so far, I think this Firmagon and Erlita, I'm tolerating it better than I did the last time, or it's the difference between Firmagon and Lupron. That's probably find out in the next couple of months as I get to that same 6-month stage or so.
Well, it's first of all, I personally am delighted that you're back on some sort of treatment, and I think that's important. And secondly, that you seem to be managing it pretty well. We'll go back to Jeff March's ice water suggestion, which you two can listen to, and I think it was the last session. It's noted on there. I'm pretty sure I noted it on there. Is there anyone that would like to talk to Jay about his treatment? and the Alida, the apalutamide.
I'm surprised, Jay, they gave him apalutamide because I thought it was approved for castrate-resistant prostate cancer, non-metastatic. And Jay is not castrate-resistant. So that's kind of surprising. But he says it's covered by his insurance, so it's interesting.
Yes, I went through, and I was surprised a little bit about it. You guys suggested that, and when I asked the doctor, they looked into it. I think the price of Erlita just over the counter is about 12 grand a month. My insurance knocked it down to just under $1,000 a month. But then I contacted the maker, and they have a program, and they gave it to me for $10 a month. So great job there. Thank you.
Well, I think that it may have something to do with the fact that Jay was once on hormone therapy, and then he stopped, and then his PSA went up, and he may have slipped through the cracks on that basis. I'm just speculating. I don't know.
Probably.
Whatever it is, I'm really pleased you're getting that treatment, Jay, and it's probably the right thing. So good luck. Keep telling us what happens. Anyone else want to speak to Jay before we move on?
Hold on for me.
Okay. So we'll talk to you again very soon, and delighted to hear that you're doing okay on treatment, that you're back in treatment, and that you're doing okay on treatment.
Yeah.
Let's I think somebody came in and left on the telephone. Yeah, they did. Yeah, I don't have to welcome anybody. Okay. Les, tell us who this doctor is you're seeing tomorrow and where you stand in possibly finding another doctor or a second opinion besides Kwan.
Okay, the doctor I'm seeing is a medical oncologist. When I had seen this Dr. Luke Nordquist from Omaha, he said that I needed to get a local medical oncologist, which I did, and this doctor is the one I selected. So I'm seeing him. I had seen him once, just kind of a preliminary, and going to talk to him again, just that it was kind of a follow-up. I don't have too much to discuss with him. I'm going to ask some kind of generic questions, but I don't have anything specific yet for him until I get more information from Dr. Kwan, what his intentions are. I was quite disappointed the last time I saw him, Dr. Kwan, in that I didn't get all my questions answered. And they have an online thing where you can send in your questions and you'll get a response within 2 days. Well, I got the response within 2 days. It says, as they usually do for Dr. Kwan, if you have any questions of Dr. Kwan, make an appointment, come in and see him. So none of my questions got answered. And the next appointment time was July 24th, which we finally ended up making that appointment. So I'm right now still in a limbo as to what direction I'm going to go. But I feel very uncomfortable. I posted this sign my desk, "Road of Life is paved with flat squirrels who couldn't make up their minds." And that's the way I feel. Like a flat squirrel because I don't know what direction I'm going.
Yeah.
It was interesting listening to Roy because there are some similarities there. So I was pleased to listen in on that.
Have you given any thought to making an appointment with Alicia Morgans or Walter Stadler?
No, I hadn't. I didn't get any. I haven't figured out any specifics. Where is that?
Okay, so Alicia Morgans is at Northwestern in Chicago, and Walter Stadler is at the University of Chicago in Chicago.
Okay. Do you know how long it would be to get appointments with them, either of them?
I don't, but you know, if you explain your situation, I think with either one, you could probably get an appointment relatively quickly. And Alicia Morgan's like, we can help you with. I've got a direct line to her. I don't know Stadler, but I've referred people to him before, and it's all been very positive. So, I mean, I would strongly recommend that you get a second opinion from a quality urinary medical oncologist, and then decide what you're going to do on that basis. I cannot remember. I'm just looking here. Are you currently on androgen deprivation therapy, Les?
I'm on Lupron.
You are on Lupron.
Yes.
Okay. And I know that your PSA doubling time
about 6 weeks.
About 6 weeks before intervention. What is it right now?
I don't know. I did take a blood test, and I called today, and they've got the information, but they won't give it to me over the phone. I have to see the doctor.
Well, what I would probably, if it were me, I'd be calling either Stadler or Morgans. They're both excellent, whichever you prefer. I thought I sent you links to both of them. Check. If not, let me know, and I'll send you links to or you can track them down. But I would let them know that, your disease appears to be raising its head again. You've got 6-week doubling time on your PSA, and you want to come in and get a consult. The 6 weeks doubling time is going to get their attention.
It got mine.
I bet. It'll get anybody's attention except possibly, Dr. Kwan, who wants you to go up to Rochester. I mean, why he can't talk to you on the phone, I don't know. But anyway, I got myself into trouble with talking about Dr. Kwan last time, so I'm not going to say anything.
Well, there are some positives there. I've made up a chart comparing. Well, I picked Dr. Luke Nordquist versus Dr. Kwan, and made a pros and cons list, and they both have several of each in each column. So I haven't ruled out Dr. Kwan yet, because there are some good points there, but there's also some negatives.
Well, look, see if you can. I think if it were me, I'm thinking about it. I think I'd probably go for Morgans over Stadler. There's a lot more. Morgans has a lot of videos that you can look online, so you can get a feel for her. She's great. I mean, she's really...
Okay, I will check on the information that you emailed me, and if I have it, good. If not, I'll get back to you by email and ask for more information.
And I'll also send you a video. I've got a couple that I need to watch right now, but she's really nice, and she's so smart. And I think if you could get you could get an appointment with her relatively quickly. And if you can't, I don't have a problem. I can send her a note and say, look, this man's got 6-week doubling time. He's at a bit of a loss. He needs some direction. And I'd be
Okay, I
happy.
certainly appreciate any help that you could get. I really appreciate it because I'm really at a loss right now.
Okay. Anybody else want to add to that discussion?
Les, are you getting your blood work at a lab or at a doctor's office?
It's at a lab.
It's like a chain of number of labs around the state or the county or whatever?
No, it's a local hospital that has their own lab.
Oh, I see.
It's
Okay.
a local hospital chain that has their own lab.
Well, I would lean on them if you could, because it's your blood work. You should be able to get the results. I mean, I go to a lab where I live and I get my results the night of my blood test. They're posted. I find it out 2 days before my doctor even finds it out.
Oh, well, normally with my family doctor, when they order it from the same place, I can go up the next day and get a copy of it from my doctor's office. It's only about a mile from me. But with this, even though it's the same lab, it was ordered by this other oncologist, and they do post it online, so I do have access to it, but it usually takes them 2-3 days in order to post it. And I wanted the information now, and they wouldn't tell me.
Yeah, you don't want to go through PSA anxiety. You call up the office. Call up the office and tell them you want the results now.
Well,
yeah, some of them have a policy where they won't give the patient the result until the doctor has seen the result. So you'll need to tell them, I want to see it as soon as it's available.
Well, this is the doctor I'm going to see tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So I'll get the information then. I just wanted it today.
Understandable.
Okay. Anyone else like to contribute? Anything else on getting results from labs or
Yes, this is Jay. I will echo Rick's thoughts on Alicia Morgan's. I did meet with her in October last year, just after she got to Northwestern. And I think she's a terrific individual to hook up with. She's not part of my network, and I'm in Memphis, and she's in Chicago, so it's not real convenient. But I'd go with her in a heartbeat. So.
Okay, thanks for the info.
Thanks, Jay. Thank you for that testimony. Okay, Dan Lewis.
I had one.
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, I had one thing to say about the lab results in question. Are there any laws about patient rights about your ability to get your results? Or that just like is up to each individual hospital, doctor, lab? Are there any general laws? Are there any patient bill of rights issues around?
I don't know. Does anybody know? Does anybody know about that? Len would probably know more than anybody else because he's, had to work in that environment after he retired.
I did, but unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that. But I know this much: I was working with a doctor once who the policy was that I didn't get the result until he did, even though I had access to the patient portal. But as soon as they told them, no, I want to see those results as soon as they're ready, they made them available. So you just have to speak up.
Okay, thanks. Just I would wonder if we could get a protocol or something we could say. It would. I don't know why we have to go through those 1 day, 2 day, 3 days of unnecessary anxiety. And I really hate the concept. I mean, I just think it's ridiculous. Of you have to see your doctor to get the results. That's like they want an extra copay, or what is that about? I want to see it, and then I'll decide I want to see the doctor. That's the way I want it. Okay, that's my comment.
No, Larry, you raise a great point. I just don't have the answer, and I don't know, where that stands on patient rights. Somebody would need to. Anybody want to volunteer to do some research on that and report back?
I only have a comment. This is
Yes,
Dan.
go ahead, Dan. Yeah.
I asked about why it seemed to take so long. But under UCSF's guidelines, after the lab test is taken, the doctor has a responsibility that is released to the information is released to the patient, no matter what. So it doesn't, as far as I know, UC doesn't require that you have to visit the doctor.
Okay. Okay.
So you might want to check with your doctors as do I have to come in for subject myself to a copay in order to find out my test results. You should be able to find out yourself without having to go through this intermittent visit and talk to the doctor. You should be able to find out automatically.
Okay. Well, look, Dan, since you've got the floor, why don't we go to you and find out where you stand in your situation?
Okay. Thank you, Rick. Again, first of all, Rick, thank you for your call back to me and when we discussed this bone biopsy that I had taken earlier this month. We saw Dr. Agarwal today. He gave us the update on the results of that, what they call the PROMOTE study.
Yeah.
He said to us that there is no actionable genes at this time. There's no BRCA information, but the fact that Keytruda will unlikely work for me. They did disclose that there are 3 mutations that maybe later on there might be drugs available to treat my condition. So right now, I'll be starting chemotherapy this coming Monday with Dr. Agarwal at UCSF. I have some questions. Well, basically, I was in emergency back a couple of weeks ago because I was suffering from intense pain, and the determination was I was undertaking the amount of dosage of ibuprofen and not taking enough of the hydrocodone, or what they call Norco. So I'm using both in conjunction for my medication to relieve the pain.
Okay.
Questions I have is, are there any supplements that I should be taking or add or stop taking in preparation for the chemotherapy treatment?
So let me first back up a little bit. First of all, I want to pat you on the back because this is a huge step on your part, and we really all support you here, Dan. I mean, you and I have been talking now for, God, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, and I know how opposed you and May have been to doing chemo. And the fact that, you're now moving from an ABC person to a chemo person really deserves some kudos and some respect, because I know it must have been a huge decision on your part to accept that you got to do chemo. So more power to you, and we all hope that it's an easy path and an easy journey for you.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Rick.
Secondly, as far as we've got a bunch of guys on the call who have done chemo, and I'm going to open it up to them in a moment so they can give you their best advice. In terms of supplements and what to take or what not to take, that's really something that you and Agarwal can talk about. And you tell Agarwal what supplements you're taking, ask him what you can continue, send him an email. I'm sure you'll get a response back from him or his nurse practitioner. But it's really important to review those with your doctor. Whatever we say on this call, we don't give you medical advice. We can't give you medical advice. And from my perspective, telling you what supplements you can take and you can't take when you go on chemo is medical advice. At the same time, the guys who have done chemo will tell you momentarily what they did and what they didn't do. And that is, that's just fine. They can tell you about their own experience. The third thing that I want to say to you is that do you have somebody from the palliative care service at UCSF on your medical team right now, Dan?
No, not at all.
Okay, so you need one because it concerns me that you've got this issue with ibuprofen and Norco, and UCSF has one of the best palliative care units in the country. Unbelievably good. And that the doctors are all wonderful. You know, Mike Rabo leads the service. If you can get an appointment with him, it's great. BJ Miller is just outstanding and a wonderful person. Both of them know me really well. The Jane, I forget her last name. I'll tell you momentarily. But
Clark?
Sorry?
The exercise person?
No. This is one of the chemo doc, one of the palliative care docs.
Okay.
But you know, understand that palliative care is about managing side effects and pain. That's what they're there for. And especially with you going into chemo right now, I really think it would be great for you to call up immediately and make an appointment as soon as you can with one of the doctors there. If you talk, the lady who usually answers the phone, her name is Gail. And if you tell her that, you know, you're coming from Answer Cancer and from me and what have you, she knows us really well. And she'll make sure you get set up. If she can get you in with BJ or Raybo, if not, she'll set you up. But I don't think there's a bad doctor. And the nurse practitioners all have great reputations there. But you know, ideally, if you can get in to see Raybo or BJ, you'll be very happy with them. And you know, just a heads up that BJ Miller is a triple amputee, and he's an amazing man. He's you can see him on the TED Talks. His TED Talks have gotten over 7 million views. So and he's very special. He's on our advisory board. So I guess that those are my thoughts on you starting chemo. And you know, don't try and manage your pain without having good advice from your docs. And frankly, as good as Agarwal is, he's not the specialist for that. The palliative care guys are. And maybe other people will talk to you about that. Let me throw it open to people that have had chemo, just starting chemo. What advice do you have for Dan?
Hey, Dan, this is Dennis Correa. I'm coming up on 2 years of finishing, since I finished my chemo, the 18 weeks of docetaxel. And everybody's going to respond differently, number one, to the chemo. And as far as preparation, you know, where I got it here down in Tucson at the University of Arizona Cancer Center, they had a very good program. My wife and I spent probably a couple hours with a person that was very knowledgeable, and she had a whole presentation to give us on what to expect. So there may be something like that, I would think, from where you're going to have yours done.
Okay, sounds good.
And then it's as Rick has said, the supportive care docs, or palliative care as he called it. I'm sure they also have those where you're getting it. They can help you out with your diet and all this other stuff that helps at alleviating some of the effects of the chemo as you're going through it.
Okay.
That was very helpful to us. The other thing that happened with me is when I got mine, you know, they give you the prednisone and other stuff to help you get through the initial, you know, the infusion the day before. You get something the day of, day after, and you really don't feel bad at that point in time. But it's after, you know, 7 days or so maybe, and you start to feel it's going to be a little roller coaster ride. You know, it's going to get you, you're going to feel tired. You're going to get maybe a little bit nauseous. I never really get seriously nauseated, but the fatigue that come in. But when you can feel better and you can move, you know, try to walk around, do something, get out, go for a walk, wherever you can do that. But what happened with me, this was before they started doing the day after shot, this new Neulasta. If they haven't mentioned that you're going to get it, I would ask about it. Because what happened with me, my resistance, my white blood cells got knocked way down from the chemo. And I probably overdid it and was out, maybe in crowds or something. So my immune system was down. I contracted something, started having some chest pains, ended up in the ER and in the hospital for 5 days. And they found multiple pulmonary embolisms in both lungs and pneumonia at the same time. So I was hospitalized a little while. So right after that, they had to reduce my dose, and then they also gave me started the Neulasta, and I finished out the whole regimen of the chemo, and didn't have any problems after that. But while you're going through it, it could be some tough days, but I think I'm living proof after a couple of years after it. Now I'm back and feeling pretty good and able to do just about anything I want to do.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that it's come along well for you.
So, Dan, let me just add a couple of other quick things that I thought about. Exercise is incredibly important when you're doing chemo. If you can get out for a 15 or 20-minute walk every day, you're going to feel way, way better. What's his name at the OSHA? At OSHA. I'm having a senior moment. I've just lost his name, but the guy that runs, the oncologist that runs OSHA I was on a program with him one time.
Abrams?
Abrams, thank you. Yeah, Donald Abrams. And Abrams told us about a friend of his in Chicago who actually administers the chemo whilst his people are on a treadmill, walking on a treadmill.
Okay.
So it's really important. Secondly, the name of the palliative care service at UCSF is the Symptom Management Service, SMS. That's the euphemism they use for palliative care. So if you're looking for their name or their number, it's the Symptom Management Service. I think. Okay. Let me just see. I've got their screen. I'll give you the I'll give you their number in a moment. The nurse practitioner who is really great, her name is Nancy Lopez. That's another person. And the woman that I was trying to remember is Brooke Calton, Calton. That's the name of the lady. Another option in terms of a doctor there. So and Gail, Gail is the program coordinator who you'll oftentimes speak with. I'm just looking to see if I can find their number. If not, you'll find it. If you just if you just look for, if you just Google UCSF Symptom Management Service, you'll find it. And you call them up, tell them you're starting chemo with Agarwal, and you need an appointment. And I don't think you'll need to go through Agarwal. Anybody else want to talk? Larry Fish, do you want to say anything about chemo?
Not at the moment, thanks. I didn't really want to say anything. I sort of got sidetracked.
Oh, okay. All right.
If you want to re-ask the specific question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dan is starting chemo this week. Do you have any advice for him? First time.
Well, I think the first time is not so serious. You have to be careful about your diet. If you like spicy or strange foods, you might find you need a careful diet. And if they're going to give you prednisone with it, I think, or dexamethasone or whatever you call the steroid they give with this. I remember what I was able to do is get some pills to taper it off so I didn't suffer abrupt side effects. But that was more towards the second and third treatment. So I think you can see how the treatment goes. They get a little harder as they go along, and if it's going well, I don't think you should worry about the details. Just you got to watch it carefully. I don't know what to say. If you remember, I stopped my treatments. I had done them very early on. I was not. I did them early in my treatment.
Okay.
Right in the beginning, and if I had to go back, I would actually. Is it docetaxel you're going on?
Yes, that's the plan.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I really hope it goes well. Just such variation in the way people react.
Yeah. The Dr. Argawal says, most people tolerate it well, so I'm looking forward to be among the majority of people who undergo the treatment. But you never know. But like you say, after the first session, tolerated. Second, you might feel a little different so a few days thereafter. But I guess he said I'm expected to tolerate the whole treatment altogether well. And like you say, he's going to dispense prednisone or another form of pill to help alleviate the nausea and associated problems with the chemo treatment.
Yeah, and if you find the symptoms are continuing, you can ask for them to give you like a secondary prescription of a low dose of steroids that you can sort of taper it off rather than get an abrupt stop. You can just get the 2 milligram or 5 milligram, 2 milligram pills for a couple of days after and sort of taper yourself off if it comes to that. But I don't think there's anything to say until the second or third treatment.
Okay.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Dan, you're going to do great. But be sure to get a palliative care doc on your team as a backup person, and you can always call us and ask us. Did I send you that written review on that trial that you did? What was it? The prospect trial that we talked about last time?
No, I don't recall seeing anything at
Okay.
all. So.
All right. Well, I'll send you. I've got a write-up on that trial that you did from Eric Small, and I'll send it to you.
Okay. Yeah. In my discussion with Dr. Argawal today, he's made a referral to the nutritionist for me. I'll see a person named Lisa Plow, I think that's her name.
Yeah, I don't know her. I know Greta.
Right. We all know Greta.
We all know Greta. Yeah.
He said, in conjunction with the chemo treatment, mentioned something like wearing a cold cap or cold gloves as what women usually wear when they undergo breast cancer treatment. So
yeah. I mean, it's interesting he said that because some docs don't believe in it, and some docs do. And if you can get it, I try it. It stops your hair falling out and it stops your nails turning black.
Okay. He said you can expect it, and then when the hair regrows, I'll have more curly hair than I expected. So
yeah, and it may be a different color. Don't be surprised if you're white, it may become in black, and if it's black, it may come back in white.
Oh, who knows? But it'll be a change in appearance, and I guess I'll startle everyone.
Whatever it is, and some people like to shave their heads early on, so it doesn't make a difference.
Oh no. Okay.
That's. But listen. Be well and keep talking to us, okay?
Yeah. Okay. One closing question was, there's thought that maybe acupuncture could help during the chemo treatment. I don't know if any of the members have participated or thought about or heard about any acupuncture treatment during the chemo treatment.
Well, what I would say on that one is talk to symptom management because they'll be very open to that.
Okay.
And the question is, I don't want to open that one up because we don't know what your side effects are going to be.
Well, yeah, it's like a roll of the dice. It could be coming up with 7, come up with snake eyes. Who knows?
Well, that's right. I mean, we just don't know. And to talk about whether acupuncture treatment would be helpful, I mean, it may be helpful, but we've got to know what the side effect is that you're bothered about first.
Right.
Okay.
Rick, thank you all, and
Pleasure.
everyone else. Thank you for your comments and thoughts on this, and thank you again, Rick.
Pleasure. So we have about 15 minutes. I'm going to touch base with Peter, then I'm going to talk to Joe Blanchette quickly, and then whatever time we've got left, we'll talk about healthcare for John Appler. Peter, you're up.
Yeah, mine's quick. I might have mentioned this before a long time ago, but it came up because I just took action on it last couple of days. I find when I have an appointment coming up with my oncologist, rather than go into that appointment, in this case, my appointment's on the phone, so I can't really do it, or I could do it that way. Go into the appointment with a list of questions. That sign's at John Appler's house, I think.
Yeah, I'm just.
Rather than go in with a list of questions, I come up with my talking points and questions like at least a week ahead of time. And I email them or fax them or mail them, however you have to get in touch with your doctor or through their nurse or whatever. Get the stuff to them ahead of time. Because I found today that a couple of the things that I wanted action on, they took it right away, even though my appointment's a week from now. I was asking about testosterone. Shouldn't I be tested for testosterone? So I got an email today with a copy of a renewed order for my blood work for next week saying test for testosterone. So I think we have a lot of questions. We have a lot of questions in these sessions. Just sit down and think about what you want to discuss with your doctor and send those things, talking points or questions to them, and give them a heads up. And I think you'll find your appointments go much smoother and you won't be as frustrated.
It's a great point, Peter. And I'm a firm believer in whatever happens, making sure you give a copy of all your questions to your doctor, whether you do it by email, whether you hand it to him when you go in. But I do like your suggestion that to email them. Whether they'll look at them, you don't know, but if they do, then there's a benefit. There's no downside to emailing them, and if you got more questions, you add them before you go into the meeting. You just give them a copy right there and then as well.
That's it.
Okay. I don't know that we need to I don't know if there's anything to discuss on that.
No, it's just a tip that I find very effective in my experience.
Thanks. Joe Blanchette, are you with us?
Yes, I am. I went to a medical oncologist in order to get a germline test. He said he didn't do it, but within his organization, there was a nurse practitioner who was the expert on this, so he sent me to her. She gave me an INVITAE, INVITAE test, which I'd never heard of before. But she also dealt with Ambry and some other organization that I'd never heard of before either. The reason she gave me this test, she says Ambry gives her a lot of headaches administratively about losing stuff and not returning the report on time and stuff like that. So she preferred to use NVTA strictly because it was easier for her to do her job. Okay. I guess I have a question. Have you heard of the NVTA test before, germline test?
Yes, I have. Okay. We have, and some of our guys have done it. I think Bill Burhans has used Invitae. We usually talk about Ambry or color, but Invitae is good.
Okay, very good. So the test results were that nothing about prostate cancer, but 2 variants on colon cancer. I'm going to read you directly on the front line, the front part of the report here. It says 1 pathologic variant identified in MUTYH was the variant, and then another variant of uncertain significance identified in M3H3. So the M3H3 is new. They've had other people test out with that. They don't know what to make of it. It's something for the future. They have to study it and figure it out. But they both have to do with colon cancer. On the MUTYH variant, I'm a carrier of it. I only have one. If I had two of them, I would have most likely have very aggressive colon cancer. But since I only have one mutation, I'm just a carrier. So my kids, however, may test out to have two, and if they do, then they're going to be more susceptible to have a colon cancer. This also matches my 23andMe test, which I took about 4 years ago before they got involved. And they told me that I was not at high risk for colon cancer. 23andMe told me that I was high risk for prostate cancer, heart disease, and a few other bad diseases like Alzheimer's. So as long as I don't have family history of colorectal cancer, and I don't, then I can continue taking my colonoscopies at the regular 10-year interval. I don't have to take it. If I had two of those, two mutations of MUTYH, I would have to take colonoscopies every year or two. So that was the guidance they gave me. They said, don't worry about the other one. We don't know anything about M3H3 yet as far as how it's going to affect you. But so that's why they say variant of uncertain significance. So that's about it. That's what the germline test revealed to me.
Well, thanks. Those are two mutations I'm not familiar with. I'm going to ask if anyone else is, and I'm going to ask Peter also. I know that Peter had something different. MSK or MLH, was it? Which one, Peter?
MSH6.
MSH6, okay. And that required you to get annual colon cancer checks, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, Joel, you're doing great. You don't have to do the annual. Does anyone else on the call have any input on MUTYH or M3H3? Where's Professor Bill when we need him? Okay. Well, first of all, I'm delighted that you don't show any other mutation. I'm delighted you don't show BRCA. So that's all good news. And it's good news that you've done it. And I think Invitae is as good as anybody, so don't be concerned about the quality of the test. I think you can, put it under your belt and move along, and make sure your kids get tested, Joel.
Right. Got it. All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
So lastly, let's go to John after the conversation. John, you said that you are looking at switching your health care. I'm assuming that this would be a Medicare supplement program. Is that correct?
Yes, it is, Rick. And oops, hold on one second here. Make sure mute right thing here.
Just go to the phone only.
Rick, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Yes, the traditional information, the advice I'd gotten from the team here was to go with AARP United Healthcare, but there's some major drugs they don't cover. Humana has an enhanced program for, Plan D for drugs that seems to provide better coverage. Because of the huge expense of some of these drugs, I'm really concerned about, making the right decision. I was just curious if anybody here on the call had made a similar decision and looked at these, two leaders in drug plans and supplemental plans.
Specifically, what are the drugs that you're concerned about?
Well, I'm kind of following my buddy Peter here and looking at the pathway that he has in front of him for the different drugs and trying to see who covers what. And it's really hard to do because of all the exclusions and different levels of different plans. So I tried to give the sales reps, here's a list of 13 drugs that include things like apalutamide, docetaxel, IPI, or Yervoy, Nivolumab, the new one that came out from Bristol Myers, durvalumab, and another new one that's having success, tremelimumab. I can't say it. But the bottom line, I'm trying to figure out the drugs that are in my pathway going forward and seeing who covers them. It's really a difficult task to do. And so the key ones, of course, are Zytiga, prednisone, and apalutamide that we just discussed.
Well, not prednisone. Prednisone isn't prednisone with the Zytiga. I guess, yeah, I understand. But I think prednisone is such a common drug. But the Zytiga and the Xtandi, what is it that ARP does not cover that Humana covers?
You know, I haven't, quite frankly, been able to get good answers from those yet from the people I'm talking to. You know, there's some AARP, for example, will not cover things like Viagra and Cialis, but Humana will cover them as long as you have a doctor's note saying they're medically necessary.
Okay.
So there's you really have to go through.
Yeah. That's certainly.
And
my guess is that with most of these specialized drugs or personalized drugs that you're looking at, there's not going to be a lot of difference between Humana and United Healthcare. Certainly for Viagra, but I didn't realize that Viagra and Cialis were now covered. And my guess is that if Humana is now covering Viagra and Cialis, you can probably get them covered by United Healthcare if you have a doctor's recommendation, for example, that you need them pursuant to ADT or pursuant to treatment, to prostate cancer treatment. I think what United Healthcare is saying is they won't cover it for recreational use, and you'd need to drill down there. My own experience in the past has been that United Healthcare is more flexible than Humana, but let me throw it out for people that have United Healthcare, Humana, and who are dealing with some of these fancier drugs. What thoughts and suggestions do you have for John? Anybody?
Well, I think, you know, the drug and what's covering it, or the insurance company is covering it, is what part it is, the injections and things that you go into your doctor's office to get, that's covered under one plan. And then your stuff, pills and things that you take at home, that's going to be into your Part D. And I currently have Humana for my Part D, and I have United Healthcare for the rest of it, for the doctor's visits, hospitals.
Yeah, that's actually I can't remember who that was speaking. What was your name again?
This is Dennis Correa. And
oh yeah, Dennis.
Yeah, so I'm on the Zytiga. I'm on Zytiga, and that's covered by my Humana, and it has some outrageous cost that they would like to charge for this thing, but then through Humana, it's under $3,000 for the first, I think, 3 months or so, and then my plan drops down, and it's down to about right now about a little less than $500 a month for my Zytiga. Well, that's the Zytiga and the prednisone. The prednisone is it's like $9, I think, or something like that for the month's supply.
That's good to hear. I mean, I'm honestly kind of leaning that way. That appears to be the best combination, is the F plan from United and the D plan from Humana. Appreciate that. And I think there's a cap on under both plans of like $5,000 per year. So your maximum out of pocket for everybody, no matter which plan you take, is going to be limited to that. Is that correct, Dennis?
Yes.
And,
Yeah,
and
good to know.
Dennis, what made you choose the Humana D plan instead of the United Healthcare D plan?
Well, I'm kind of fortunate that we have a service provided, and this is, I'm a GE retiree, and when they changed their plants and stuff, they gave us this company, and I can't remember the name of it. But anyhow, we call them up and we give them they go over our medical history and use of pharmaceuticals and so forth. And we tell them what we're going to be needing, and they do the search. They do all of the hard legwork and going through all of the different sources, and came back with my wife and I both. Let's see, we were different for a while. My wife had a different plan because of stuff that she had and what she needed versus what I had. But it works out very well for us. So I was fortunate to have that service provided.
That's very, very valuable. That really is. If they've gone through that hard work, they probably looked at the same list of drugs I'm looking at here. That's really good news. I think that does confirm my choice.
Yeah, the other thing you have to choose when you're choosing your medical, the doctor's visits and the hospitalization stuff is the plan. That within United Healthcare, I believe I have Plan F.
Right.
Yes, yeah, that's what Rick had recommended before.
Well,
yeah.
I just want to make one qualification on that, because when I looked last time at GNF, G was actually a better option than F, because I was going to meet certain deductibles anyway, and as I looked at it carefully, G was a few dollars cheaper than F, given the deductible. So I cannot remember the details right now, John, but G and F are very, very similar, and just look at them carefully. Look at the differences between G and F, and you might find that G is going to save you a few bucks a month.
And is a trade-off there, Rick, that you pay a few bucks less, but you have a higher deductible?
Yeah, and you pay a few dollars less, but you have a higher deductible. But once you pay the deductible, it's still less than the extra money you'd pay on the F.
Got it. Yeah. So the net over a year, you're going to be better off going G. That's helpful.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. And it's not a lot of money, but if you figure you're going to spend that deductible anyway, then you save yourself a few bucks in the long run. The deductible is less than the additional premium for the F.
Good.
Thank you for reminding me. Anybody else have any contributions to this discussion for John to navigate and guide him in this choice? I know this is
one thing.
Yes, go ahead, John.
Just to, as a talking point, just curious if you heard this, and our senator here on Twitter, Brian Schatz, put out a note saying the Republicans are considering getting rid of the pre-existing condition coverage in order to, try and attack this $591 billion deficit we have in the budget because of the tax plan.
Right.
And friends of mine said that they could never do that. They'll never pass. But is that kind of everyone's feeling, that any attempt to knock pre-existing conditions out of Medicare is just not going to happen?
John, how's your crystal ball?
I was hoping you'd say yes. There's no way they could do that.
I mean, it's a political issue, so I'm not sure we want to get into it on this call, and I don't know who's got the best crystal ball. And some people's crystal ball may be cloudier, maybe murkier, depending on whether they wear a red tie or a blue tie.
Yeah, didn't mean to do that. Just was hoping it would be a political hurdle that no one could get over, that there would just be too, what they call it, third rail kind of an issue, that there'd be too many people like us upset if they did it, that they wouldn't dare touch that one.
We all hope you're correct, but I don't think anybody, I don't think it's a discussion we really want to get into on this call. We could talk about it offline.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Thanks again, Rick. Thanks, Rick, for Plan G, and thanks, Dennis, for that very good sharing.
Yeah. So
you're welcome.
Anyone else? If not, we finished only 4 minutes late this time, so we are definitely doing better. I think I did miss somebody who came in and left. There was somebody who kept popping in and out on the telephone. I'm not sure who it was, but it might have been John Appler. So in which case, I don't feel badly. All right, guys. Next call is next Monday the 2nd, right? No holidays. So it'll be July. We'll talk to you in July. I'm going to watch out for my next letter. I read a really good article from Prostate Cancer Foundation today about a mutation that I've known people have, and I'm going to highlight it in the next letter that I send out. If anybody wants to discuss it, we can discuss it. And that's it for tonight. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Hi, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks, Rick.
Good
night.
Thank you, Rick. Bye bye.
Thanks, Rick. And Len, thank you guys.
Going, Jake.